Welcome back, math friends. Today we are taking a look at Topic 8 Block 4, Part 2, and we are focusing on distribution and the distributive property. Now, the distributive property is a very cool thing, and what it does is when we see a number sitting next to something else that's in parentheses, like maybe 3 plus 2 in parentheses, and there's a 4 sitting out there, the distributive property says that this is actually going to be 4 multiplied by 3 plus 4 multiplied by 2. Because what happens when we see a number sitting outside the parentheses and something happening inside is we are going to use distribution and multiplication, and we're going to multiply that number that's outside times everything that's on the inside of the parentheses. So that would be 4 times 3, and then we're going to multiply that 5 times 4 times 2. See, 4 times 3 plus 4 times 2. That's the distributive property. If you want to talk about it in fancy math terms, if you have A outside the parentheses and B plus C inside the parentheses, that means we're going to multiply A times B and A times C, so that what we end up with is A times B plus A times C. That's just fancy algebra talk. Anyway, let's put it into practical use right now. We are going to look at some distribution problems here that I'm going to write down and we're going to solve. Please make sure that you're writing all of this down in your math notebook so that you can refer to it at a later time when you're going to need it. All right, well, let's get started. Now, let's take our first example that we used, and it was just numbers. Well, 4 times 3 plus 2, that's 4 times 3 plus 4 times 2. So that's actually 12 plus 8, and then 12 plus 8, we simplify it even further, is 20. And that makes sense because if we use order of operations, we would have added 3 plus 2 that's inside there, and that would have made 5, and 4 times 5 is indeed 20. So we're good to go. But when we don't have just strict numbers, we have to use the distributive property in a different way. For example, I have 2 multiplied by r plus 3. Okay? Now, what that means is I am going to multiply 2 times r, and that is 2r, and then I'm going to multiply 2 times 3, and that is 2 times 3 is 6. So 2 times r plus 3 is 2r plus 6 because I distributed the 2 into the positive r and the positive 3. Okay, let's try another one, shall we? Let's look at 4 multiplied by x minus 2. Okay, now 4 times x minus 2, I am going to multiply 4 times x, which is 4x, and I am going to multiply 4 times negative 2. And so 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And we have now multiplied 4 and distributed it into x minus 2. 4x minus 8. Now let's increase the level of difficulty just a little bit. And let's put negative 5 on the outside of the parentheses and y plus 7t on the inside of the parentheses. Okay, the process is still the same. We are going to multiply negative 5 times y, and that will give us negative 5y. And now I'm going to multiply negative 5 times positive 7t. Negative 5 times 7 is negative 35. Whoa, what kind of 5 is that? 35t. So I multiplied a negative number into my parentheses here, and I ended up with negative 5y and negative 35t. Now, there is the occasion where, let's take a look at what happens if we multiply a negative on the outside and then a number on the inside, let's say 2x plus, minus 7. Well, when I distribute my negative 3 times 2x, negative 3 times 2 is negative 6x, and then I distribute the negative 3 to the negative 7. Negative 3 multiplied by negative 7, negative times negative is positive 21. And that one is now simplified because of using distribution. Okay? Well, let's try a few more here just because it's so much fun to distribute. 5 multiplied by w minus 2x plus 9. Wow, now we have 3 terms inside the parentheses. Same process though. 5 times w is 5w. 5 multiplied by negative 2x. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10x. And then 5 multiplied by positive 9 is positive 45. Sorry about that. A little glitch on the screen there. I actually bumped a key at the bottom. Okay. And we have distributed the 5 into 3 different terms inside the parentheses. All right. Well, let's try another one. We're having a great time here. How about negative 7 multiplied by 3n minus 4p plus 6. Okay. Again, negative 7 times 3n, that's negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. Negative 7 multiplied by negative 4, negative times negative is positive 28p, and then negative 7 multiplied by positive 6, negative times positive is negative 42. All right, well, there we have it. Let me clean that up a bit. There we go. And we are done with that one. All right, now we have a very special case. Sometimes you'll find just a negative sign outside parentheses, like this. And you're like, oh, what does that mean? Are we subtracting that whole thing? Well, yeah, kind of. But what you can do is imagine that that negative sign is going to be multiplied through there. But what do you mean we're multiplying the negative sign? Well, let's just imagine that there's a negative 1 standing out there. Now, we are going to multiply that negative 1 times everything inside. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2x. And negative 1 times negative 10 is positive 10. And so now we have simplified that part. We've gotten rid of the parentheses. We've distributed the negative sign by turning it into a negative 1 and distributed all the way through the parentheses. Distribution is a very cool thing, and it gets used a lot as you advance in your mathematical career. And sometimes we can even use it in reverse. For example, if I had a statement that said like 36w minus 12x plus 48. And you're like, wow, I'm going to use the distributive property in reverse. I want to find a term that is in each one of these. So I want to look at all my numbers and see what they have in common. What is the greatest common factor in each of those numbers that I can pull out? And if I'm not mistaken, the greatest common factor for all of these would be 12. So if I divide 36 by 12 and negative 12 by 12 and 48 by 12, I am going to then pull that 12 out. I'm going to put it outside the parentheses, and what is going to be left inside? Well, 36 divided by 12 is 3, so that would be 3w. minus 12 divided by 12 is 1, x. I don't need the 1. I can just put the x there because it is 1x. And then 48 divided by 12 is 4. And I have used the distributive property in reverse to factor those to go the other direction. So sometimes you'll have to do that too. Probably not today, but sometime. So it's good to have that tool in your toolbox in case you ever need it. Okay, well, that's it for distribution. Have a great day. Don't forget to be awesome. See you next time.